myself echo twice. Hello, friends, and I hope you're having an amazing Thursday afternoon. We're going to actually have so much fun right now by talking about the PPP. So let me make sure my comments are up over here. So if you are a small business owner and you have been wanting to poke your eye out with a dull fork, frankly, during the coronavirus time, nobody would ever blame you for that because we all feel that way right now. And the help from the government, let's just say it's been opaque as to what's going on and the information has been tricky to find. Well, lucky for you, I have realtor friends, and my realtor friends are sometimes big old nerds. And so I've got for you today my big nerd friend, Eric Kistner, and he is from Tennessee, from the little Tri-Cities area, which is Johnson City, and what else in the Tri-Cities? I forgot.
Your favorite, Bristol.
Bristol. Bristol would be my favorite if they would let NASCAR be NASCAR. But this thing without fans is just the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, it's terrible.
NASCAR fans drink a lot. That's probably an antibacterial germ fighter anyway. Eric's a super duper realtor. He is a volunteer with the association. He runs a brokerage. He coaches and mentors tons of agents who sometimes don't even know they're being coached and mentored. And he's such a supporter of small business that he helped his hairdresser pick up 12 new clients during the coronavirus time. So Eric, thank you for coming in to tell them what you learned about the Payroll Protection Program. So friends, I'm going to ask a couple questions when Eric's talking. And if you have a question, pipe up over here in the commentaries and I'll try my best to answer. Marty, I'm glad you're here, because if you didn't get the PPP money yet, Eric's going to help you with that. So actually, I'm going to tag in my friend Gina, because Gina was trying to figure out how to get the hold of it too. What's up, Carol Bradley? Carol's at my house last night. We had a big old time with my realtor friends. It was so nice to have humans in my house. But anyway, Eric, I'm so glad for you sharing. And by the way, we said we were going to be down with OPP, so.
I love it. I love it.
We'll just run that in the background for a second.
Yeah.
For the cool people. Okay, that's enough. Okay.
Yeah. So you and I have been talking during this whole pandemic, and we're talking about what help are realtors getting. And this is what was confusing to me, is I'm asking every single realtor I run into, did you get the PPP? And they all said, yeah, I got it, and I got it. And I was silly enough to leave the question alone for several weeks without following up. And then I just ran into somebody and started asking more questions. And I realized that and that's a good realtor trait, right? Ask more questions. So I realized when they say they got the PPP, they were actually getting an EIDL, the EIDL grant, or they were getting pandemic unemployment insurance. And they weren't actually getting the PPP. In some cases, they just got the stimulus that everybody in America got, right? But we actually created, and I don't want you to tell us more later about how this happened in Washington, but we actually carved out for independent contractors, which most of us are, a special program called the PPP.
Eric figured out why the Facebook overlords kicked us out of our live video.
It's the music. Facebook does not like you to play the music you don't own.
As I played a song on Spotify, and it's so funny, like I'm pretty sure that Naughty by Nature would be glad to have a snippet of their song played. But
you think it's like Happy Birthday, it's out of the public domain by now.
The overlords won't let us. So you go ahead and talk what you was talking about.
Yeah, let's keep on talking. So I was talking to these realtors, and everybody's saying they're getting the PPP, but in fact, they weren't getting the PPP. They were getting the stimulus or unemployment insurance, or they're getting the EIDL advance. Okay, so if you applied for a PPP online at sba.gov, you weren't applying for the PPP. You were applying for the EIDL. Now, the EIDL is a great program too, but unfortunately it's done. You can only do that if you're a farmer. So what's left for us, and we've got a few days.
If you're a farmer, go get the EIDL grants. Go get it, farmer friend.
And we'll talk about that too, Leigh. I see realtors online saying they got the EIDL and turned it down. Okay, this is a 3.75% loan amortized over 30 years. They're giving you money for those last 10 with inflation. So don't turn it down. That's just free money. Put it in an account. You don't have to use it, right? But this PPP is good through June the 30th. And it's designed to put back into the pockets of independent contractors namely us and all of our friends and family who are independent contractors, 2.5 months of income, right? That's a huge deal. So if you've applied for the PPP, you had to do it through a bank. You cannot apply for the PPP any other way. So if you haven't talked to a bank about the PPP loan, you did not get a PPP, and there's still time to get it. There's plenty of money. As a matter of fact, what we don't use, they're going to use somewhere else after June the 30th. So it's time for realtors to apply, and I would apply today. You with me so far?
I am, yes.
You get any questions?
Well, the first question we should ask is, the big problem people have had is, what bank? Because if they know they got to do something at a bank, how are they supposed to know where to go?
Yeah, so the first thing I would do, and this would be the best option for everyone, is talk to your local bank where you have a relationship already, because you're going to go to the top of the pile. Many local banks now have jumped online. So you may have talked to your bank in the first 2 or 3 weeks and they said no. But now they realize this is an amazing loan for banks. The banks are not guaranteeing these loans. The SBA is guaranteeing these loans. Banks are making 100 basis points for a loan, right, that they don't have to guarantee. This is a great deal. So now your local banks are coming back. So talk to your local bank first. Second, if your local bank is not doing them, hop online, go to PayPal, go to Cabbage with a K. All of these places now have easy online applications. You can do it, and you can get funded pretty quickly.
Hang on, did you say Cabbage has it? The Cabbage with a K has PPP?
Yes.
Gina was looking for a bank this morning. I'm gonna tag her again.
Cabbage, Square, PayPal. There's 15 or 20 internet lenders that are doing it. You can find that list online. But go to your local first, and then go. PayPal's easy. PayPal's like a 10-minute application. And I'm telling you this, and I'm going to drop a link to the real application in our comments. But this application is easier than filling out.
It ended us again. So
again now. Yeah.
How about this? Let me ask you the questions that were in part 2. And we'll make a comment in part 2 that we're live again. So Whitney Stringer asks, are there limitations on how the money can be spent?
Yes.
And we know that this is changing by the day. So I'm going to caveat that before Eric dials in. This changes all the freaking time.
We should have made that note. As I'm saying it, it's true, but it might be changed tomorrow. But let me tell you a way that you don't have to worry about the regulations changing. So at first it was 75% payroll, and then it went to 60%. As an independent contractor, think of yourself as the only employee you have, okay? So you're gonna get this PPP money, you're gonna put it in the bank account you normally put your commission income in, all right? And then you're gonna sit down, and for the next 8 weeks, you're gonna write yourself a paycheck, something that most realtors don't do. They usually take the whole commission. They're not on the 40-30-20-10 that Leigh Brown preaches about, okay? So for the next 8 weeks, you divide the amount you got, divide it out, write yourself a check, and then put that money into a different account. At the end of those 8 weeks, your PPP funding is done, and then all you have to do is apply for forgiveness. You used 100% of your PPP funding on payroll. This is why realtors aren't getting it, because they don't think of themselves as an employee on payroll. And that's exactly what you are. So divide your money out, 8 weeks. Don't do it the last week. Don't write a check for 8. Don't do that. Do it once a week. Make this so easy for the government to look at your records that it's a done deal. And remember, these banks want to forgive you. If they don't forgive you, that means they have a loan on their book at 1% at 6 months down the road, right? They don't want that loan. They want to get reimbursed from SBA. So they're going to look for every way, make it easy for them to get for forgiveness. The other amazing thing is when you get forgiven, it's not a taxable event.
Hey, catch that, people. Not a taxable event. This is a huge piece of the legislation that is looked huge.
So big. You remember, you were around during the downturn when you had clients that had to negotiate with Discover Card to get the Discover bill lower from 20,000 to 3,000, and then the IRS said, "Well, you made 17. We're going to tax you on that." No, this is completely not a taxable event. It's a forgivable loan. It's all that it is, and we're making a huge mistake if we're not doing it. Talk numbers though. We're talking about, well, we think less than 5% of realtors have gotten this funding. We know that only 26,000, what was it, in the entire real estate sector got the money. All right. And many of those were firms,
right?
Rental property, they could be anything. But our 1.3 million realtors needed to get on this. Here's the next one that's kicking realtors out. There's a question on the PPP, and I'm going to drop this into the comments. There is a question that says, you have to, when you're initialing, it says, current economic uncertainty makes this loan request necessary to support the ongoing operations of the applicant. All right. Now, if I asked you, Leigh Brown, how much you're going to make in October, can you tell me?
You are spitting in the wind, my friend.
You don't have a clue what you're going to make. That's true of always with our life. Even now, we've got depression level unemployment. We have no idea where this is going. But to make it even sweeter, the SBA has came back and said on their website, if you're applying for less than $2 million, we're going to automatically assume that you have a life that you lead is going to be crazy for the next few months because you don't have the access to capital that big companies do. Thank you, SBA. So that's an automatic initial. All right. So that's the last thing that was holding realtors up. They didn't know what it was about. Now, then they looked at the program and said, well, I don't know. I'm having a good year.
Well, it might be the last thing that was hanging realtors up, because Tammy points out something here, Tammy Anders, that a lot of realtors were told that you can't get the PPP and also file for unemployment with your state. Do you know the truth on that?
You can, and I've heard it 3 different ways. What you need, it really depends on the timing of your unemployment, right? So if you went on unemployment early, you've got a challenge. And now we're running to those dates. It's going to be tough because what you need to happen is the unemployment to run out and then get the PPP, or have gotten the PPP and then did your unemployment. So that's going to be tricky because you've only got 19 days left on that one.
And that
also don't know
too.
Yeah, so we don't know on that. So the other thing we missed out on is that EIDL loan that now is just for farmers. So here's where you build your business. Not only is this putting money in your pocket, but we're going to build your business because you need to get in front of your clients that have 1099 income and let them know about the PPP. So your handyman, the lady who cuts your hair, the guy who cuts your hair, mows your yard, anybody that works for a builder has 1099 income. Right? So that flows through to their tax return, and we're looking at the C, and you're looking at line 31 on Schedule C of your tax return. That tells you your business profit. All right? There's a real easy calculation. If you can get that number, divide that by 12, and that is your monthly income. Whatever line 31 says on Schedule C is your monthly income if you divide it by 12. Multiply that one. I don't do math in public, right? Because I went to public schools. So I don't do that. Multiply that monthly income times 2.5, and that's what you qualify for. Okay?
And let's go ahead and pipe up an answer to a question right here. Whitney's asking if you can still get the money if you're actively making commission and working. And yes, you can, because of what Eric just described, that you don't know your future income levels. And so you should go apply.
Yes.
Denise is asking what documentation we need for forgivable status. Denise, you just need to keep records of everything that you're doing, because the forgiveness stuff is changing every day.
Yes.
And my guess is that we're going to wind up seeing more forgiven than not at a very near future point.
Absolutely. So your forgiveness document is out, but as Leigh said, it could change. But all you would need in the case that we just described is those 8 checks that you wrote to yourself and put it into another account. Then you're good. And remember, once it goes in that other account, the SBA and the IRS do not care what you do with the money.
Okay, so we have an interesting question from Rita Lamar here. Can you hire a new employee with the PPP, or can you only rehire and replace previous employees?
You can. Okay, that's kind of a separate question because you got a whole different deal when you're getting the PPP if you have employees. So we've been talking primarily about those independent contractors that don't have employees. When you go the employee route, yes, you could still hire that new person, but you have to maintain the people that you already have. And the maintaining of the people that you already have is going to be enough for your forgiveness.
Okay, let's see. Sean Jones said that his bank is BB&T and he couldn't get anybody to pick up the phone, so he worked out a deal in the drive-through. Sean, high five for ingenuity. And frankly, y'all should go to your banks anyway. I love my tellers. And let's see what else is right here. Rita Lamar got hers through South State Bank. It was pretty painless and funded within 2 weeks. Wes, I'm not going to hum the music and poke the bear. Nice try. Okay, so back here, Carolyn is asking what if you have an S Corp? What do you use for income? And can I point one thing out here, guys? And Eric has already mentioned treating yourself like an employed person. Be careful to understand you are a 1099 status. And so if you refer to yourself as an employee, like a W-2 person, you're actually putting yourself into some legal ugly ground. You are an independent contractor and you are employed. You're just not an employee. It's a different thing.
That's exactly right.
So some of you have S Corps, C Corps, and LLCs, and you pay yourself a salary from that. You are an employee of the S Corp, C Corp, LLC. And so Glenda's asking a question kind of related to that says, is the salary you pay yourself, so if I'm paying myself $30,000 from my S Corp, is that the amount I'm working out of, or is it my actual total GCI income? Do you know the answer to that, Eric?
You've got two different banks. You got banks that look at it two different ways. You hope that they'll look at just your 1099 income and do your calculations that way. Most are looking at Schedule C, line 31, which is your total profit and loss. So that would be income minus expenses. But if you can find a bank that does a 1099, you're going to be better off. They're going away quickly though. So probably count on that line 31 of your Schedule C. Okay. And you should have, somebody asked about being an S Corp, you should have a Schedule C. That's where it's going to flow through to. Now, one person that would be completely different is if you had a partnership inside of an LLC, then that money flows to your K-1 as a 1065, and you file your PPP application there as the partnership. That's the only one that's different.
And Brad Pratt, I'm going to answer yours, even though you're out of order because I can answer it myself. You're asking, what if you have an S Corp and don't pay yourself a salary? First of all, fix that going forward because you're opening yourself up to the idea of an audit if you're not paying yourself a salary when you're making as much money as you make in real estate. So talk to your tax advisor. Eric and I, by the way, neither one of us is tax advisors or accountants. You should verify everything we're saying with the bank.
I mentioned that.
So yeah, so we're just telling you real life advice, but you need to set one up for the future. But for now, you would probably call your tax advisor about that because you're kind of in a weird spot, but there's still stuff available. All right, yes. Paula Brotherton says, do agents have to be incorporated to qualify for PPP, or can you just be a plain old independent contractor?
If you're a plain old independent contractor, this is your wheelhouse. This is better than anything. It's easy, because your money is still flowing from that 1099 to your tax return. So you're good to go. And that's true of all your 1099. You said you had a client, the client Tyler, that's an artist. If he has 1099 income, he qualifies. If he has a tax return where he pays taxes as a business, he qualifies.
And that's Tyler Grace, by the way. He's got a wonderful business, but he's been hammered because he does most of his sales at shows like the Southern Christmas show, which if they cancel that, that's when I'm going to do a peaceful protest because they got to quit taking our shows away. Let's see.
What about RPAC auction with all of his art?
Sue Drum heard that there is a max forgivable amount of $15,000. Is that true?
No.
Correct. It's not true. And by the way, if you heard something in March, friends, it's probably changed. If you heard something in April, it's probably changed. If you heard it in May, it's changed. If you heard it yesterday morning, it's changed. stay up to speed with your banker. This is, by the way, another reason not to use Bank of America's and Wells Fargo's and to use your small local and regional banks, because that's where you get to hold of people that you go to church with and go to the grocery store with, and they will help you with this stuff. Wes is asking if you lose PPP if you took EIDL. No, I got both. And so there's different programs. So you shouldn't be needing to blow anybody up. But if you got EIDL 10 days ago, high five, and you'll have your forgiveness. Because remember, EIDL at first was set up as an immediate stopgap emergency funding.
Yes. As far as limitations, let me get that. The only limitation we have on the PPP is if you made more than $100,000 last year. That's
what Cindy Speth said. Cindy, good job. You're a step ahead.
Cindy.
She got you.
Your max that you can get is $20,833. So go, if you made more than 100, your monthly income is 20,833, or that's your your loan amount is 20,833. Don't put any other number. Don't do anything else. Just put that down, 20,833.
All right, Debbie's asking, how in the world are they determining the amount that you get?
The PPP is determined solely on income. They take the income divided by 12 to come to a number called your monthly income. Hey, that makes sense.
So you can actually backspace when you watch the reverse of this video, because Eric explained the math on this already. And I'm not saying that to be ugly, but we're trying to stay in our time constraint.
Yeah.
You go back about 4 or 5 minutes and there's an explanation on that. Let's see, we have a question here. Can you pay from one account to the other from the PPP or whatever your line 31 says? Man, Dawn's asking a specific question.
This is exactly what you want to do. You want to put the PPP money in the same account that you always put your commission income in. And then you want to write a check. Even if you're not used to writing yourself a check, write yourself a check to your joint account or to your savings account. There's a great idea for the money. Put it in a savings account, and then when you get forgiveness, go wild. Let's go ahead and get forgiveness and be good with it. And that way you don't have to spend the next 8 weeks wondering whether or not Leigh Brown and Eric were right about all this forgiveness. Just put it in a savings account. Make some interest.
I mean, they do keep dropping the amount that needs to be used in different categories. They're loosening up the requirements, because I do believe that there is a desire for people to use money and to stay in business and be creative. All right, do married couples who are both independent contractors use line 31 also, and do they apply separately?
You're going to have to talk to your bank about that and your tax person, because that's going to depend on how your tax return is filed. So if you guys both are 1099, when it comes to your tax return, do you have 2 separate businesses that feed to your tax return? If you do, then you both would file separately, which would be great for you. If you don't, then just file off the one, but your accountant can tell you exactly what to do there. And if you're a real partnership in an LLC, remember, you're going off your K1 income, line 14A of the K1.
And I will tell you guys, I have 2 different businesses currently, and I applied for help for both of them because they both have employees, and I wanted to take care of all my people. Mark Patafio, bite your tongue. You're the one that gets to be a banker. I just put money in y'all's banks and get your blood. Heather Kistner, you have an amazing baby daddy here. Look, Eric, your wife is piping up. I freaking love her. You married above your pay grade. But so let's see. We had a question over here about something. I see, I'm watching 3 different comment threads from people who got lost between the 2 accounts. All right, so long story short, how much time do people have to go call their bank and crush this out?
You have until June the 30th to get this done, but why wait? Do it today. Put this on here. You're never going to get a situation like this ever again. What if you get hit by a car today and you're in the hospital for the next 3 weeks? You're not going to get a forgivable loan from the government ever again that's non-taxable, ever. Ever, 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 ever. This is the best deal that's ever happened to us. It's better than selling a house. The application is shorter than the purchase and sell agreement. Tell all your clients, tell anybody you know that's a business owner, they may be missing out something from the PPP.
And y'all, the interest rates are really low. When I got mine, there was a slider on it to determine how much I wanted to borrow. So if you only want to borrow a portion of what the government's willing to give you, you could make that choice. So just get it crushed out. So let's see. Deb Stocka says, no employees, no loan. Incorrect. You are a working person, so you can apply for this.
Yes.
So you can, in fact, look at Mark Patafia, who linked in here. He's a bank type person. Make friends with Mark. He can probably help you, but you can go to PayPal. Cabbage, I did not know that Cabbage was doing this, and so Eric shared that with us earlier. Go figure out how to get a hold of it. Sue is saying, as an independent contractor without owning brick and mortar for commercial purposes, is there a way to utilize the forgiveness portion for utilities, rent, and mortgage? And that's a really good question, because what if you're like
it's a great question, but
if you're Remax or Keller Williams or somebody who pays a desk fee, that desk fee should count, right?
It all should count, but here's the thing. Don't confuse everybody. Take what you got, divide it by 8, and pay yourself 8 weekly checks. That's 100% payroll, and you're golden. You don't have to worry about all the rest.
True, and you can use your payroll to pay your rent if you want to.
That's right. They don't care what happens to the money once it's in the other account.
All right, let's see. Cindy is saying she thought it had to be used as income for 2020.
No, it's not even, I forgot about that part. It's not even taxed.
It's not income.
No, it's just a loan. I forgot about that. Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm glad you said that, Cindy,
Yeah.
because that's super important. This is not reportable income. It's not taxable, which if you look at the interest rate you're going to possibly pay if it's not all forgiven and you realize it's not taxable, you're insane not to go max out as much as you can.
Yes.
And for those of y'all that don't have an assistant right now to help your business grow, I mean, what better time to do that? Take it, like Eric said, divide it by 8, pay yourself, use part of that money you paid yourself to hire somebody in your community. And by the way, I'm just going to pipe this in because I can. I am categorically opposed to hiring offshore people for your real estate business. And I know that goes against what some of y'all are taught by some brands. I believe in hiring people in my local community. I hire neighbors because as a realtor, you are a micro small business. And if you want your business to grow, hire your neighbors when you have the opportunity. Why would you dilute yourself out of the area? So anyway.
Hey, Leigh, if you hire your neighbor or your friend, you have another database of customers.
No, not your friend. What are you talking? Don't hire a friend.
You hired your friend. You just said
I do not. You hire neighbors that be friends.
Oh, my neighbors are my friends. But if you hire your neighbor instead of hiring somewhere else, you have another data bank of people to market to.
Let's just say local then, because you ruin your friendships. Okay, so Abby Nelson, I love you, Abby. I haven't seen you in forever. Would you sell one of my listings sometime? So I use Paychecks for my checks. You don't have them take out taxes. No, they don't take out taxes on this stuff. That's why Eric's suggesting you take the PPP money, put it in a different account where it's a different bucket, so that it doesn't get lumped in with the other commission checks that you get. That's a wonderful angle to look at on that. Yes. Let's see. Correct, Leslie. The money from PPP is not taxable income. And for the y'all, seriously, go behind us to your tax accountants. You're scaring me by asking questions. Kelly is asking if your 2019 hasn't been filed, can you use 2018? That's above our pay grade.
I could answer that one. They will not use 2018. You're better off if they will take your 1099 than they are your tax return, because that's income before expenses. So if they will take your 1099 and say, I haven't filed, and they'll do it, go for it.
And by the way, Abby, she says, well, shit, I messed up. No, you did not. Paychecks did. They should have been on this, because I had them do a lot of my stuff as well. And they've been doing all these little webinars. I would call the manager and have it fixed, sister, because you're worth every penny. Call them back. Let's see. We had a question in here about how do I determine how much to pay myself if I get multiple 1099? Same.
Oh yeah, it all adds together. So if they're taking the 1099, you add them together. If you got gig deals going on, or you were at 2 different brokerages last year, you add those together.
Leslie says, is there a definitiveness? I think you made that word up. Good job. We're doing word creation today on Thursday regarding whether or not money is definitely forgiven. She said she recently saw that 75% is forgiven. It just changed to 60. So all I'll say is just like we said, stick it in an account, use it as you need to, and then just keep your eyes open. I really anticipate some big improvements coming.
And what she's talking about there is she heard that if you paid 75% of your payroll, then the whole loan would be forgiven, and then that changed to 60. What I'm suggesting is use the money for 100% of your payroll.
Oh, 100% of payroll?
Yeah, because you divide it by 8, you're gonna make 8 weekly checks.
We're not accountants, but we're
Yeah.
pretty sure. Let me see if I had anything else in here from NAR, because one of the reasons I am active with the National Association of Realtors, as is Eric, is that we are very involved politically in making sure that these things happen, and that we work hard to make sure our fellow realtors know all the things that we know through all the emails that we get. And I've gotten about 40 to 11 emails a day about this stuff, trying to make sure that we know what's going on. So let's see, Stephanie, correct. You need to use 2019 returns. Let's see what we have here. Eric, you got anything else you want to add in while I find the latest?
No, just make sure you do this. Make sure all your clients that are business owners know about this, because I think it's fallen through the cracks somewhere and they don't realize they can get it. So when you get a gift horse, you don't kick it in the mouth, or what is it we say?
Well, you don't look it in the mouth.
Look
you
it.
probably wouldn't kick that horse in the mouth.
Well, that's what we're doing. We're kicking it right in the mouth.
I think you're going to cut your hoof if you do that. And so what Eric is saying is really true, because a lot of people didn't get it in round 1 and they gave up. And y'all, that's because we live in a society with very little resilience. So you need to go apply again. What is our NAICS number? What is Carolyn asking there? Do you know, Eric?
Yeah, I do. I've got it. Hold on just a second.
Oh, look, she knows. How about that? And he knows. This is amazing.
260012. Hold on, I got it.
Look, somebody type it in here right quick. Rhonda, if you already got the minimum PPP, can you get more? That sounds like a bank question, but I would call your local bank that did the loan and ask them. And Martha asks, if you own 2 businesses, but only one is real estate, can you get PPP for 2 businesses? I can answer that. Yes, I got PPP for both of my businesses. And that allowed me to take care of my employees in both of my business, because the last thing I wanted was to lose any of the amazing people who work for me. And I didn't want them going anywhere. Let's see what we've got here about PPP. It's just a general article this morning to remind people to apply. There's still money sitting in the account. Does
it's 531210 is our NAICS number.
531.
I've got an application that I've already filled out and a fake name that I'll post on here if I can, and it has it on there.
Okay. Does SSA 1099 count as income or just real estate 1099? I don't know that one. Do you know that one?
As long as it flows through to your personal tax return as business income, the 1099 will count, not the SSA.
Eileen, that's a great question. If you submitted your taxes and they're not processed yet, can you apply? I'm going to tell you that your answer is going to be yes on that, because they're going to, as long as you show them proof that you sent it in, that's what they're going to be looking for, because they can go to the IRS and find it.
Yeah.
Let's see, anybody else got a question about this stuff? I know it sounds kind of dry and awful, and unfortunately, my theory is that's why a lot of realtors stayed away from it, because it was overwhelming and it is not our wheelhouse. That's why you need relationships with your association, because y'all, we can help each other with this, and you can help your clients. Eric's not playing. Call everybody in your database or make your own little video so that you can. We didn't have any charts, Glenda. We're just talking, friend. You just be looking at our faces, and I don't know if that's anything to brag about today, but you know, Heather did claim her baby daddy, so it was funny. Yes, contact your bank, contact all your people. And by the way, we mentioned in one of the other iterations of the video before Facebook kicked us off, the overlords were not happy, but the EIDLs are only available now for agricultural concerns. So if you're a realtor who works with farmers, and this doesn't have to be giant corporate ag, this can be small ag, this can be somebody's hobby farm. If they've got ag income, they should be looking at EIDL. So call anybody in your database who does farming and make sure that they know, because just like a lot of y'all looked at it at first and then give up, other people have as well. So don't let your money get away. Okay, anything else?
And I don't know which video made it through, but the one question that's going to get you on the PPP is about economic uncertainty. Was that on this video?
I don't know.
Just know when you get to that question about
we'll pretend it's on this video.
Yeah, when you get to that question, it's going to ask you, is the purpose of this loan because you have economic uncertainty facing you right now? You initial that, you say yes. The SBA has already told us if you're asking for less than $2 million, your life is economically uncertain because you don't have the access to capital that these big companies do. So don't feel bad. You're not going to jail. You're not going anywhere. This program is for us. Banks want to forgive it. They want to give you this money. Just go take it.
And I'll remind you as well, before we jump off of here real quick, this is why you are a member of the National Association of Realtors. And if you are not a member and you're watching this link, this is why you should always have a realtor who is an active, engaged member of the National Association of Realtors, because this is the work that we've been doing during the pandemic to protect not just our members, but every 1099, because when realtors do advocacy work, it's never just for us, it's for our entire communities. And we love our neighbors and want you to stay in business. The last question we'll answer real quick before we jump off. Martha Greenleaf is saying, are you limited to only the bank you do business with? Wells Fargo is not taking more apps. Martha, first of all, change banks. I would use a small local bank where you can get to know the tellers. The money was driven to the smaller banks. And so Wells Fargo is tapped, Bank of America is tapped. But if you have a small local bank, and many of them have been referenced in these comments, reach out to them and go find out who would like to have your accounts and let them earn your business, because it's good for your business. Okay, Eric, thank you so much for being who hunted everything down. You knew answers to things you have no business knowing the answer to, frankly. And so I know that this has probably been a relief to Heather that you had something else to do with your time, and we appreciate that. And we know that your son does the vacuuming, so really this was your gift to the world.
You got it right.
Thank you.
Thank you
to the Tennessee Realtors for letting us borrow your volunteer, Eric. Friends, go tell somebody else that you know that's in business about PPP. Time is limited. Get it done. We love you. We'll see you next time.
Woo-hoo.